to this week's Timeout Tuesday. We're going to be starting on the Heathkit SG-8 signal generator. We're going to do a breakdown on it. On this week, we're just going to do an overview looking at it, and then I'm going to go over the schematic maybe a little bit with you, but we're not going to get too deep in the weeds on this. We might take it apart a little bit, but we'll get prepped for starting to do what we need to do on the next week. So today, hopefully it won't be a super long video on this Timeout Tuesday, and you'll get to see a little bit about what the inside of the SG-8 looks like. And I've used these SG-8s a lot. I've had it back, matter of fact, when I first started, I had the SG-8. That was what I used as my signal tracer until I bought my Regal. So I know how to use the SG-8. I like it a lot. But I just want to get this one checked out because I haven't looked at anything. I haven't even used this one yet. And I don't even know if I got the right probes for it. I got to look at that too. But hope you enjoy this series. There's going to be a new series on the Heathkit model SG-8, and that's the signal generator. All right. Enjoy today's video. Thank you. Well, hello and welcome to today's video, guys. This is our start on the Heathkit model SG-8. This is a signal generator. Last time we were doing the signal tracer. This will be the second piece of my portable test equipment that I want to get done. Now, I back when I first started videos, I used one of these, and exact same model, exact same everything. So I am familiar a little more with this than I was with the IT-12. But as far as back when I used this, I really didn't know a whole lot of stuff back then. And I was just noticing right here, there's a little date scribed in here. It's 10/7/1964. So this thing's been around a little while. But anyway, you know, of course, if you guys are not familiar with the Heathkit, if you're just now coming on board, the Heathkit are little build kits that you could get back in the day. And if you're a person who was just starting out in electronics or whatever, and they would let you build your own test equipment. And so someone somewhere built this thing, and they came in a kit form, and they could put that together. Well, anyway, out online, there's 2 or 3 of these that are out online for the manual. I printed this one off. Actually, my stupid printer printed it 3 times, and it's like 20-some pages long. But, oh well. I don't know if I just kept hitting print and didn't realize I'd done it or what, but you can print this one. The one with the yellow page on the front is the best one. The other one I tried to print, it prints out the words so large it don't even fit all on one page. I don't know if whoever uploaded that didn't upload something right. But there is this manual right here. If you see this one, that's probably the best one to go through. And I always try, when I buy a new piece of equipment or whatever, you know, I try to get a manual for it, just because for my records, that way if I ever have a problem with it, I can go back and look at the manual. But this manual is pretty cool. This manual, it pretty much covers everything that you need to know. And that's the first thing I'm going to pull out is our schematic, because we're going to need that when we're messing with this. So I'm just going to pull that one on out. And these are numbered pages, so if you pull something out, you can get it right back in where it goes. Today, all we're doing today is going to be probably not a real long video, because all we're doing today is the introductory video, and we're probably going to open this thing up, take a good look at it. But it gives you everything you need to know through here. And it has beautiful graphics all the way through, so you can see all the parts and pieces that you need. And basically, this is all written for that person who is assembling this thing. And it's for the person who's going to be putting it together. And it'll also help us, because it'll show us, you know, what values and that kind of stuff that we need. And we're going to check this. Now, I haven't went online to see if, I'll try to do that between this video and the next video, but I haven't went online to see if there was a you know, kind of like that rebuild kit that I bought from Scotty's Sled Shed. I don't know if they've got one for this or not, but if they do, I might go ahead and purchase that. But you know, it tells them step by step. Whoever was building this, it tells them exactly what to do next, and it tells them from start to finish how to build it. And when they start out, they just got, you know, all the parts and pieces and the metal frame, and they start putting it together, which I think is really cool. But as far as us doing just a recap and recheck on this thing, it's going to be so nice to have this manual in hand. I also, while I was waiting on this thing, because it didn't come with a probe, and so I bought this. I can't remember who I bought it from, but I bought it online, but I just can't remember the name of the company. But it has your lead and then your ground lead, and it has your BNC connector here. And I'm gonna leave this off just because we're gonna take this thing apart, so I want to make sure we got that out of the way. I don't know how much, you know, because this is for beginners, so there's probably a lot of people on here maybe never even seen one of these, and what do they do, you know? And I'm not an expert on it, but I will tell you this: you have five A, B, C, D, E across here, and this starts with the outer band, or A, will start with your lower end of the broadcast band, and it'll go all the way around here. So when you're looking at the little line here and you put that in there, like if I put that there and I've got this flipped to A, you got in the center here, you can flip to A, B, C, D, E. Well, when you have it flipped to A, you're on this outside line right here, and that way you just turn it. So if we're doing IF, more than likely we're going to be on A. So, you know, say if it's 450 or something like that, 460, you know, so you just have to extrapolate your distances between here and count how many you got there, and you put your line, and that's when you're going to be generating the signal at that frequency. Okay. And so then, you know, as you're working up, like if it tells you to turn to 1450, well, then you just got to kind of find out which one has 1450. And you do have your upper bands too. I didn't say that. I was talking about these outer two being your broadcast. But 1450, let's say 1450. So it's right between 14 and 1500. So it'd be right there. And then you'd have to flip it over on B. And that would give you your signal at 1450. And it's really not that hard, and it has other functions you can do on here, and try to go over them later. But the bottom line, you use this to generate a RF signal, and that RF signal you can generate out, and you can do your alignment with this thing. So you can put a signal in, and then with our signal tracer that we made last few videos, we can track our signal that we're putting out with this RF signal generator. And that to me is the main thing. This is your gain over here, your on and off volume, and your gain on this one. But there's a few other things you can do with this, like I say. So, and when you have it lit or turned on, this little green light will light up, which is kind of cool. So, bottom line, I believe I have enough just showing you that kind of gives you a general idea of what this thing is going to be used for. All right. And then like here's a voltage chart, voltages you should see. This is another look at schematics. I haven't really, to be honest with you, I haven't even looked at this thing. I just printed it off. So I don't know exactly. We'll have to look at this and see what we got here. I'm going to leave that out too, just so I can take a good look at that one. Anyway, once again, it's just continuing to show you the setup of this thing, and it does a lot of explanation in it, which I'm gonna sit here because, you know, I'm not the expert on this thing. I used it a lot, but I used it mainly for my alignment, giving my signal out for my alignments. But you know, it has a lot of stuff to absorb that I have not read. I've never read this manual. back when I was using this, when I was first starting out, I didn't even print off a manual. I probably should have, but I didn't. And it even gives you some, in this manual, it gives you just some basics. Has nothing to do really with this unit, but it gives you just a bunch of basic information for somebody just starting out, and teaches you a lot about resistors and capacitors and stuff like that. So this manual is very, very handy. I just wanted to print it off so we can get our schematic, and we can kind of get an idea when we get our schematic here. We'll know kind of what we're dealing with and what we have to work with. All right, so today we're going to do a little bit of the tear down. This is almost exactly. I noticed right off the bat we got a screw missing. But this only has the 2 bolts. It's almost like the IT12 signal tracer. You just have the 2 little nuts on the back here, or bolts on the back here that hold the back on. And so we're going to take this off. Now, I can tell you right now, and I don't think I've ever had one of these open, but we should see a lot of coils in here, because you're doing RF signal generating. You're going to have coils, and more than likely it's going to be full of coils. Now, as you know, I do not like fudging around with these cords and stuff, and I'm going to put a new cord on anyway, so off we go. And I do this with every radio, everything that I got, if it's got one of these little cords like this, because I'm going to put a wide blade cord on there. And so that's gone out of our way. We don't have to fight that no more. And let me just see what we got here. I can pull that off the back. And what did I tell you? I knew you'd see some coils. All right, I'm going to put this case up out of the way. It looks like the inside of the case is not rusty. It just needs a little cleaning. It's dusty. I told you this thing's in really good shape. And I'm happy with the, I'm gonna put this test lead, the probe, I'm gonna put it up inside that case up there so we don't lose that. All right, I'm gonna lay the schematics over here out of the way for a minute. And we're just gonna look at this thing just a little bit. Okay, so we got one tube right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out, but I got a little drawer over here that I'm gonna be putting this stuff in. So my tube sitting right here is a 6C4, okay? And then there's a tube in the center right here, and we want to be real careful around these coils because they got a lot of little fine wires. We don't want to mess them up. Each one of these coils have to do with one of them A, B, C, D, and E bands, okay? And this is a 12AU7, which I've dealt with a lot of those in the All-American 5 type of radios and stuff like that. All right, underneath here, the good news is I can tell right now that somebody's been under here already, because it's got modern electrolytics already been replaced, which is a good thing. And it's also got the waxies already replaced. So we may not have to do much of anything other than cleaning underneath here. It's also got where somebody replaced the rectifier and they put in a diode, okay? And we'll have to look at that. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to look at that because I think that might be in wrong. We'll take a look at that. But they've already replaced, and they put these 2 resistors in line to get the right voltage that they were trying to get. So this thing's already been touched by somebody out there, and which is fine, because all I want to do is get a working piece, and if it's only a video or 2 long, then that's fine. But we're gonna try to see if there's anything we need to do to it. I know we need to do a little cleaning in here, but I'm gonna check that and make sure that part works all right too. It's still got its ceramic capacitors in here, and that's okay too. Most of the time these are really good and they don't need replaced. So really, I can tell you right now, we're not going to need a rebuild kit on this, so that's a good thing. I can't argue with that. We are going to add a fuse with a with a right kind of cord on it. And all right, so it looks like potentiometers. That potentiometer turns really well. It actually has good range of movement. I'll spray in there and get all those cleaned up. This is RF steps. That one seems to be turning okay. This potentiometer up here, let me back that out just a little bit. That one seems to be turning okay. I don't see any problem with those. So it looks to me like all our switching might need a little cleaning, but all our switching is good. And I don't, like I say, I don't know who got in here, but it looks like they did a pretty decent job. The only thing I would have done differently is, you know, I like putting the shielding on these caps down here. I just like putting that covering on them. It just makes it safer, but I don't know if I'll even mess with that because somebody did a good job. They used the coil method on the soldering. They just clipped and coiled those in. Somebody kind of knew what they were doing, though. Only thing I questioned at all, and I can't remember on that if they got that diode in there backwards. I don't know. We'll find out. Probably not. I just can't remember. I don't do that enough to know. Okay, on top, it just, like I say, I see a lot of dirt. We'll have to check on the next one. We'll check these coils, and we'll make sure that the coils, they don't have any open coils. So a lot of times on these little SG-8s, what happens is the one that goes to the A band, and I don't know why, but let's see where we're at here on that. See if I can figure out which one it is. My guess is this one, but they tend to burn open, and I don't know why. Somebody hooking something up to something hot or something, but because you gotta be real careful where you hook up your signal generator to. You can't hook it up to a plate somewhere or something like that because it's gonna burn for sure. And but I've had 2 or 3 of these that have the A band don't work on them, so we'll have to verify that and make sure everything's okay there. We'll check all these resistors next time. There's a ton of resistors in here because all those resistors help you get all that the different levels that you need, and of course we'll check our caps. But like I say, most of the important caps that need to be changed out, they've already been changed out, so that's a good thing. As long as they got the right ones in there, we're good to go. So really all we need to do is just verify a few things, clean it up a little bit. We're going to be probably one video getting all this done, and then we can go into a test phase on this. So this is going to be a lot quicker than I thought. I didn't know. I was kind of looking forward to having to recap it, but I'm also happy too because it looks like, we're going to have a pretty decent piece of equipment here. And I'm going to read up on the book of what voltage we're supposed to have right here on the red wire coming out the end here. I'm hoping that, never mind. I was looking at that wrong. That's why I thought that was in backwards. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the brown wire. I'm going to see what kind of voltage we have coming out here. I got backwards in my head. I don't know why. But this is where our voltage is going to be, and I'll read whatever voltage that's supposed to be coming out of there, and now that looks right. So usually when you have the red wires, I don't know why they did that, but with the red wires you have that's usually where you're coming out on your hot side, but I forgot you're going to have your resistors after your diode. Duh. All right, not an expert by any means, but this is going to be a handy little piece of equipment that we have. I hope that you are going to enjoy this little bit right here and just introduce you and me to the SG-8 Heathkit. and then we'll add it to our little box of fun when we get it up and going and test it, make sure it works good. And like I say, it just needs a little bit of cleaning. I think I'm gonna have to take this off and get a good cleaning underneath there and get this face. It's got like these little specks. I don't know what, but I'm not gonna get aggressive with cleaner on here because you don't want to knock your numbers off. But it's like somebody splattered something really sticky on there, so I'll have to work on that on there too. But I think we're going to take that off and get that cleaned really good because it's got a bunch of dirt on the backside. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, just because this video is a little bit short, and I'm so sorry, I keep going long on some of these other videos that I've been doing, and it's just because you have to get to a quitting point, and sometimes you start on something and you have to go until that's done, because it just I don't know why, it just makes it more final, and then I probably should stop halfway through, but I don't. I just get to a quitting point. That way I remember where I'm at too. But what I'm going to do is we've been working on a radio on the Facebook side, and not all of you guys. I remember there's a bunch of you that don't go over to Facebook and watch there, because it's not videos like this. I mean, I do put videos on there, but they have so many stupid rules on there that you can't. I would do Facebook more like I'm doing this if I could, but they won't let you post. You can't put videos and still pictures. You can't mix anything. You can't put two videos back to back. So where I have to push pause on some of these videos and then continue on, I can't edit that back in and make it a continuous video. And so therefore I do it in photo albums. And yeah, every once in a while you'll get a video in the photo album, but usually it's little short clips of, what I've done or whatever. But there's a radio we're working on. It's a Silvertone 6136 is the model. And this radio, I will say it had more things wrong with it than any radio I've ever had. Now, none of them were, well, there were some that were major and horrible, but none of them were unfixable. But I would say if you thought of anything that could go wrong on a radio, pretty much it was wrong on this radio. And it's a nice radio, and it's probably not super. I don't know actually know the value of it, but it's probably not worth thousands of dollars. But it's probably got some value to it. But I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of that rework that we're doing. Now, I've got a friend of mine that he's one of the guys that he's a collector, and I'm not going to give you his full name. His name's Scott, but he's the one that connected me with this customer, and him and I are tag teaming this radio, and I'm doing all the electrical and the chassis and all that stuff. And the reason I'm talking a long time here is because you're going to start seeing pictures through this talk that will show you that radio as I'm talking. So, don't think I'm just going to bore you staring at a Heathkit forever, because I want you to see this, and I'm trying to make this video long enough to where it's at least some YouTube value. But anyway, my friend, he's a collector, and he does a lot of his own cabinets, and he's a very good cabinet guy. I don't say neither one of us, we're still in the novice stage, but he, he don't want to be called a professional, but and neither one of us are professional, okay? But he's a lot better at cabinets than I am. And you'll see, of course, you're seeing on the other part here, you'll see me doing the Philco cabinet, and you'll see me do the Zenith cabinet and the other Zenith cabinet. Those will all be done this summer, so you're going to be seeing those videos. And I'm not horrible at cabinets, but I'm not the expert. I'm better at the woodworking part than I am on the refinishing part, getting a stain or whatever, Well, my friend, I've done a lot of his radios, but he has a different approach, and I don't know if I'm sure this part he wouldn't mind me saying, but he uses a lacquer thinner. Now, see my approach, and you guys are seeing it on the Philco Model 70 videos. I do stripping, and then I do sanding, and then you haven't seen this part yet, but I'll be doing refinishing. But the way he does it with the lacquer thinner, it makes it to where you don't have to sand, and unless you have just some really really bad spots, but which is probably better because some of that veneer is super thin, and I'm getting good at the sanding on the veneer that's super thin, but why not? It'd be better if you didn't have to sand at all. And but anyway, you're going to see the results, and I'll be tucking this in there as I'm talking. But you're going to see the results of what he started with on that cabinet. Now, we didn't do a full veneer job on this thing because that would have been way expensive. It took like that top had some like chestnut on it, and the way that it was designed, it was above my pay grade to replace all that the way it was set up. But what I did do is I cut out a piece and at least replace the top part of that. And then I did patch jobs all the way down the side. And I did patch jobs on the front. I did patch jobs in a lot of places. And I'll post some of those pictures too. But anyway, and then once I got all the veneer work done, and be honest with you, I'd have probably done it different had I known that he didn't sand. Because when I put my veneer on, I put a little thicker veneer on, and then I sand my patch down to equal where the veneer is on the thing. But since he don't sand it all, he had to do a little more toning in those areas because he don't sand the rest of it, so it makes it look like a little whiter probably than the other. And so I didn't know that, or I probably would have done that differently, put a little thinner veneer on there. But in the way I do it, I sand that patch down to equal the other veneer, and then I sand the whole thing down real lightly. But just different styles, and I'll be honest with you, the way he does it is more the professional way of doing it. That's the right way of doing it, probably. I'm not saying my way is a wrong way, but it's a way. It's just not the better way, probably. And you guys can judge on that. But anyway, I'm gonna be adding pictures of that cabinet work, and then I'm gonna throw in some pictures of this chassis. Well, this chassis had so many things wrong with it. It had a band thing right here, and I had replaced this, and this was all broken off and everything, but it wasn't broken like this. And I had replaced it, and has a spring back here, and then that thing rolls over a wheel back and forth like that. Well, this thing is so brittle that I got it all hooked it up to a spring, and I was working on the tension of the spring because the tension is what puts this red line in line with a hole on the front. So when whatever band you're in, it'll line up behind the hole for that band. And you have to, once you get it on there and get the right length, because it didn't have any of this dial cord either, but you have a little switch that this rolls around, and when you rotate the switch, that spring either pulls this in or you pull out on the spring. And just me playing with that little bit right there, this thing is so brittle it just snapped this thing right in two. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to rebuild, and the only thing I could find even close that was flexible enough to roll over that roller was this. It's more like a canvas type of material, but it's got a little bit of sandpaper on top, and I'm going to have to try to knock a little bit of that off, and then I'm going to put my red line on here, but I got to figure out exactly where that red line goes. I'm going to have to put my hole, and this is 10 inches long, and so I got to get my red line in the right spot, so when I roll this thing, it'll do the same thing. And then I was just going to put a little nut and bolt on the ends here where these rivets are, and that way I can tie my string on spring on one end and a string on the other end, and that would help me to get that fixed. So that's my goal on that. But you're going to see on the chassis, it had the dial cord missing. It had and me have no way of knowing how to redial that dial cord. Well, I've got this little book, and I'm sharing all this with you just because I'm killing a little time, because this was just the introductory to this thing, and it's a lot less than I have. But I found in this book is called the Sam's dial cord stringing guide, and I found this at a swap meet somewhere. I can't remember, but it's the best thing I ever bought because I've used it 100 times. And in there, you can look up in the front here, you can look up your model number. And sure enough, back here on number 470, right there is the dial stringing guide, which is going to help me to restring that thing. Well, I got that set up and to be taken care of. And then the next thing that I had problem with was the whole faceplate. It has that kind of I don't know what you call the material. It's not Bakelite. It's more like a plastic, but when somebody keeps it outside or in a barn or something like that, the heat warps that stuff. It's like unfixable. Well, somebody did try to fix it, and they tried to push that all back down, and it snapped in two. So I have to, and this is probably the most expensive part of this whole deal, is I had to get somebody to 3D print that. And so right now that whole faceplate, and comes in 3 parts, but that whole faceplate is getting redone on a 3D printer. And I will, maybe on another video, I will show you the end result of that, because I don't have that back yet, and I don't really know what the cost of that's going to be, but I know it's not going to be super expensive, but it's not going to be super cheap because you got the setup of all that. You got to design all that. So I gave him the metal frame of the faceplate. I gave him the faceplate itself. And I also, the glass was broken in the front of that. This is the only radio I've ever seen that has 2 dial glasses. It has a dial glass over the main chassis where the numbers are, and then it has another dial glass over this faceplate. Well, that thing was snapped in 2. So I had to go to the glass place and get a piece of glass, and then I had to give that to the 3D printer because he has to make that fit inside that frame he's making. So anyway, we're going to have that, and then the chassis was a solid chunk of rust, about as bad as some of these other radios we've been doing. And so I'd been working on that. I had to derust it with my navel jelly 3 times. And but I got that really, really good. It came out a lot better than I did. The tuning cap was about the worst I've ever seen as far as having rust down in between all the blades. And I'm still, I mean, it's 100% better than it was, but I'm still kind of picking away at that while I'm finishing this radio. I haven't even started on a recap on it, but if you want to watch any of this stuff, it'll be on my photo album coming out. I post every Sunday. I think it's Sunday. On Facebook, and I'll have a post out there, same name on Facebook, Radio Hound, and you can look at that and watch the rest of that build. But I'll post a lot of the pictures on this too, and that way you can kind of see what we've done so far. And this what I'm most impressed with is the cabinet. Scott has blown me away with this cabinet. It's beautiful. The other thing we've had to do is restore the speaker on it. I still haven't fixed the hole in the speaker. There's a hole in it. But I did get all the three inches of rust, and I got all the stuff on the chassis and the speaker painted. I'm about done with all that. And now what I got to do is I'm going to be doing the actual recap, something that you would have normally started on right away on a recap, but it's taken me a month to get everything fixed around to where you could even do the recap. And you say, well, John, why don't you do the recap first? Well, sometimes you get into these radios and you find out that anyway, get into radios and find out that you just put all that stuff underneath there, and then there's something that's going to stop you. Now, I do check all the coils and stuff like that. I'd already checked the like the transformer coils, IF coil, all the coils on this radio was checked before I even started, because sometimes that's a no-go right off the bat. But then you still run into other stuff, and it's better to just go ahead and get all that stuff done. The other thing is, when you're cleaning up there, all that stuff is draining down through the holes in the chassis and stuff like that. And I don't want that draining all over I don't want it draining all over the stuff down in there that I put new parts in, and then it gets all the goo and gunk down in on top of that. So I like to get all the cleaning done. That way when I put the recap underneath, I can have it where I can clean all that and be done with it. So I get all my cleaning done. All right, I'm rambling enough. I'm going to finish out this video by just, like I say, showing you as many pictures as I can for that Silvertone Model 6136. And next week we'll start on this thing here. And like I say, probably in one video we'll be able to go through this and get it ready for testing. And then the next video we'll do a test on it. But we will go over the schematic a little bit. And a little bit what I read in that book, maybe go over some things that I found out that might be good for sharing. And I hope that today's video, I know even though it's for me definitely short, it might be helpful to somebody, just showing you a few things and letting you see what can be done. This radio that you're going to see was the worst shape that I've seen on a lot of radios, other than that 9S262 we're working on. But it had, even the 9S262 doesn't have a whole lot of stuff. You know, it doesn't have all the things wrong, and this radio does. So you enjoy the pictures. I hope you have a good day, and thank you guys for hanging in there with me. And thank you guys. I've been getting good comments, and it just but I also want constructive comments that are still, you know, I'm getting the comments from a lot of the same people. And I know, you know, if we got that many people, we're getting, you know, close to 800 people on here now. You know, ask your questions. There's a guy that reached out to me, and I'm going to have you know, sometimes I do FaceTime with people. And I'm going to do a FaceTime coming up soon here with him on his radio, because sometimes it just takes that one-on-one, face-to-face with somebody to try to help. And I can't say I can do that all the time, you know, but if I can squeeze you in there to try to help you out for a minute, I will. You know, I'm not going to be on there every day with you, but you know, if I can have a one-time meeting with you and try to get a few of your questions answered and show you on your radio what you're needing to know, to me, that's what I like. Because I'll be honest with you, my favorite thing and what I feel the best at is troubleshooting. And I feel like most of the time I can figure out what's going on with a radio. And I've had a few that kick my butt, but most of the time that's something that I do better at, is being able to figure out, okay, you're getting this noise, you're getting whatever, and here's what I think is going on. And I'm getting better at it, even, you know, as I go. So every radio I touch, I learn new things. And if you don't work on something like this, you know, I've never had one of these open, but if you don't work on something like that, you're never going to learn it. But when I do open that, if you don't walk away learning something, there's something wrong with you, because you're going to learn on every radio. And sometimes you learn from your mistakes, but you're going to learn. And there's just things, I mean, I guessed that there was coils on here just because of the concept. And sure enough, there's coils in there for all these bands that you have there. But, you know, but you're going to learn, you know, how that whole thing is set up. To get in there, grab it, and open it up, and take a look at it, and start learning. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, and sometimes you just learn by getting in there and doing it. But don't be afraid to reach out to me with these questions. I want you to ask questions, and if I don't have time, I'll tell you I don't have time. But you know, it's not going to be rude. I just, you know, sometimes I do work a full-time job too, and I do Facebook page, and I do YouTube channel, and, you know, I have family, and I do family things, and so, you know, that's real life. But if I don't have time, I'll just say, hey, I can't do it right now, but I will later, you know, and hopefully that'll help. But don't be afraid to reach out and ask the questions. You know, I love the positive comments, but just ask questions. Hey, I got this radio, and it's, you know, it's whatever, and I just need help. I don't understand this concept of what's going on here. So hopefully I can walk you through that. I will tell you this, the guy that I'm going to do the FaceTime with here coming up soon, make sure you watch the, I think it's going to be, the 9S262 video. We're getting ready to do the IF cans, and you asked me about the IF cans, how one of them has 3 wires coming out of it, and one of them has 4 wires coming out of it. So you're going to see that exact scenario on this 9S262 that I'm going to rebuild these IF cans. So watch that video, because that's going to explain to you why you have 3 wires on one and 4 wires on the other. Okay, and you're going to be blown away at how simple that is. But you know, these are the exact same questions that I used to ask myself all the time. Why is that way? I don't get that. I don't understand that. You know. All right, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna try to throw a bunch of pictures in here on top of this rambling, and that'll give you something to look at and see and enjoy. So just hang in there with me. You guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that overview and that little bit of teardown. Next week we're going to start in with the recap of this SG-8, and hopefully it won't get too involved, because I think everything looked pretty good. So we should be able to fly through this pretty quick, and that will be our second piece of equipment that I'm going to have for my mobile unit. And I don't know if you remember seeing me do a little skit with my little white lab coat way back when, but that box that I was using there in that skit is my Zenith box, and it's a really nice, good, heavy-duty box, very good shape. And I'm going to put those pieces of equipment in that box when I travel somewhere. I'm going to have some of my most used tubes and just a few other little things in there, multimeter and stuff like that. And that way, if I ever have to travel somewhere and look at a radio for somebody, I can throw everything in that box and roll. And I think it'd be cool to be doing house calls every once in a while. So that way I can, you know, assess maybe somebody's radio for them. And that's what I'm doing all this for, just trying to get all this portable equipment ready to go. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I just want to close out all my videos with this right here. This is my my motto, and it's going to be our channel motto from now on. It's sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. We don't ever want to lose. We want to learn from every mistake we made. I thank you guys for watching.